You're lost in the middle of the desert. The sun hits you hard, and your mouth is as dry as the landscape around you. Deadly creatures surround you, ready to pounce. You begin to lose hope when suddenly your blurred vision spots a glimpse of green in the distance. Is it an oasis or just a misleading mirage? Welcome to 100 Days in a Desert-Only World. To make everything a little bit more interesting, some dangerous mobs and monsters have been added, such as rattlesnakes, crocodiles, and sandstorms. Yes, sandstorms are mobs. I have decided to add the thirst mod because in the desert, of course you get thirsty. It's just so hot and there isn't much water, so I thought that would be a great challenge. Because the only way I can get my health back up is by eating and drinking, and not eating alone. And that is also true for the Nether, and I can't actually bring a bucket of water in there with me, so that's definitely gonna be a little bit tricky. But all is not lost, because in the desert we can sometimes find some tumbleweeds tumbling around in the wind, and if they are broken, they can drop some random items. Well, all I can say is wish me luck. And luck I will definitely be needing because I died miserably at my first go. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be as easy as it seems. Day 1, try 2, I started gathering resources that were around me, such as sticks, and I actually found a ruin with some strange planks in it. I then noticed the deadlier side of the desert when I saw these crocodiles and rattlesnakes. I broke a few tumbleweeds in the hope of getting some useful items, and I also found a village. Food was definitely crucial to find, so I got plenty of hay bales, and I also was able to craft my first pickaxe. Once I found some stones, I upgraded all my tools. I gathered enough stone to be able to make a furnace because I knew I would be needing water bottles very soon. And then to start getting a bit of iron, I decided to kill the iron golem of the village. I then decided to spend the night in a house that already had a chest in it. On day 2, I found that there was a well really close to the village. I was able to quench my thirst under the hot sun. In the afternoon, I found a cave and decided to go down to get a little bit of iron, and I also decided to kill that spider in case I would be needing some string. Horror struck the village when a crocodile started attacking the villagers. I made some arrows and attempted to kill him, but he followed me right to my house, and I had to finish him off with an axe. On day 3, I killed the iron golem that had not defended the villagers against the crocodile. For their own safety, I tried to lock the villagers in their houses, but clearly failed. I then discovered that basically you could craft some planks by using some cactus needles and some sticks. Later on, I was delighted to find a diamond on the ground. Because I expect tumbleweeds rarely drop diamonds. I needed way more arrows, and so I started killing off some roadrunners. And by the end of the day, I was delighted to find my first desert temple. On day 4, I entered the darkness of the temple. I made sure to disarm the trap, and I was delighted to find 3 more diamonds in one of the chests. I needed way more flint for making arrows, and so I mined plenty of gravel, and then a few crocodiles came along to see me, so of course I had to kill them, and one of them dropped an egg. I then spent the rest of the day hunting for roadrunners. On day 5, I found some oak leaves inside of a village house and hoped that one of them would drop a sapling, and of course, I was quite unlucky. But then a miracle fell upon me when I found this beautiful oasis. Next to the oasis, I actually found a nice cozy little home that belonged to Canadette, the villager. On day 6, I continued on my way and found a tiny oasis with a sheep and a cow, which was really adorable. And then I got ambushed by these pillagers, and trust me, they hurt so much. I had no water, so I couldn't get my health back up. And yeah, that was quite a scary moment. I cut down these strange trees I'd never seen before, and they were actually palm trees. I returned to the first village I'd found and decided to gather up all my stuff because I wanted to live with Canadet, the villager. On day 7, I bought back a sheep and a cow over to the oasis, and I got ambushed once again by 2 crocodiles, and I did not know what to do when he suddenly killed the cow. So yeah, that was pretty terrifying and quite disappointing because I needed the cows for leather for my enchanting, but luckily I found another oasis before getting completely lost. Finally, on day 8, I made my way back to the oasis with 2 sheep and only 1 cow. I decided to start farming all the palm saplings. And with the dirt I had collected, I decided to block off the large hole that was in front of the house. On day 9, I decided to learn more about the mobs. I realized that I could actually tame a crocodile, so I laid the egg safely in a little enclosure. Later on that day, I was delighted to find a second cow, which meant that now I could finally have a baby cow. On day 10, I arrived back to my new home and of course bred all the animals. I fashioned myself some iron armor and continued filling up that big hole. I decided to end off the day with a bit of hunting, and things turned very sour. I thought I could easily kill off the crocodile with my axe because it was running out of health, and it was a terrible idea because the crocodile did so much damage. But I guess some lessons have to be learned the hard way. On day 11, I had gathered another egg from the crocodile, and so I decided to make an outdoor enclosure for the crocodiles to grow in because I was afraid they would just suffocate if the enclosure was too small. To be able to have a tame crocodile, I basically need to breed 2 crocodiles, which meant that the easiest way was for them to actually hatch in an enclosure, and then I would find a way to actually approach them without dying. I actually also wanted to tame a rattlesnake, but I quickly realized that it was impossible. On day 12, I made myself a diamond pickaxe, and instead of going to mine obsidian, I actually just went mining for basic resources, but I actually quite needed them, so I got some gravel for flint and coal as well as iron. On day 13, I went to explore the area and found this big black pillar and had no clue what it was. So yeah, instead I just killed all the crocodiles that were around it and didn't find much. I really wasn't expecting to find a horse in this 100 days, but yeah, I found one. So I went back home and I actually put all the eggs I'd got in the crocodile enclosure, and I also made myself a crocodile scoot chestplate right before returning to the village with a saddle. On day 14, I galloped back home with my new friend, Denver. I realized it was best to actually take the egg that was in my house and bring it outside because I didn't want to be attacked by a crocodile in my own house. Well, sorry, I mean Canadet's house, of course. I was actually thinking of cohabiting Canadet's house until I get enough resources to make myself my own house. On day 15, I decided to go around one of the villages I'd found to get plenty of dirt and other resources. I then ended off the day by breeding my animals, and Canadet was a little bit stuck in the hole for some reason. On day 16, I heard a zombie underneath my feet, so I went to light up the area a little more. I wanted to add more life to the desert, and so I spread some grass a little and I planted plenty of saplings. I was astonished by the cuteness of one of the baby crocodiles that had just hatched.
I spent the rest of the afternoon mining for iron, and I also found an extra buried portal, and yeah, I struggled a bit to actually find the chest, but I was able to gather enough obsidian to actually make the nether portal. On day 17, it was finally time to enter the nether. I spawned in a crimson forest, and I was lucky enough not to cross paths with a big angry hoglin, but there was the added difficulty of loads of zombies spawning in the nether. I found a warped forest as well as another portal. Back in the overworld, I got a few surprise creepers, you know, just for the fun of it, and then I went to feed my animals and checked on the baby crocodile. I was actually planning on starting to build my own base, and so I prepared a bit of sandstone. And then I realized that the cute baby crocodile had grown and become super aggressive. On day 19, I went back into the nether in the hopes of finding a fortress, but I didn't find any. And on day 20, once again, there was another creeper creeping around my house. I started terraforming and flattening off the area where I would be building my base. I would have a good challenge when building because, yeah, apart from sandstone, there wasn't much else I could use. On day 21, I had my first attempt at breeding the crocodiles, which was terrifying. And then I spent the rest of the day relaxing after that, so I made some coarse dirt so that I could multiply all the dirt I already had. To my great dismay, one of the crocodiles had grown and actually gotten out of the enclosure. So yeah, I almost died. That was a lovely moment, and he had actually killed some of my animals, so I had to close them up in case another crocodile would escape. I also locked up my villager friend to be sure he was safe, and then I decided to go mining. I ventured into the first cave I came upon. I was able to collect resources such as gold and iron, and I also met this very kind little goblin trader that was happy to trade flint with me. After that, I went back mining, and I was delighted to find my first diamonds. Well, I say that and I have a full set of diamond tools, but what I meant is the ones I actually excavated from the stone and not the ones I found, for example, in the desert temples. I also decided to get plenty of dirt so that I could spread it around my base. I was truly quite happy with these few days of mining because after that I was able to finally craft myself some diamond armor. When I came back up to the surface, I had plenty of mobs just attacking me and these gusts just swinging me around, which was quite brilliant. But when I finally managed to kill them off, I decided to plant a few more saplings, you know, just to add a bit of greenery around the place, and I started placing the floor of my house. So the reason I was just mainly using sandstone is because I actually tried out using a bit of cobblestone and it just did not look very nice. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna make a house out of sand, which sounds a bit weird. I attempted to get an oak saplings from the oak leaves that were in Canadette's house by replacing them with palm leaves. But yeah, I got no luck, so I was back to zero. And I mean, I could have used palm logs. The issue is, as they're not typical vanilla trees, basically you can't actually strip them and all that. And they were pretty white in color, which wasn't very contrasting. After making an enchanting table, I realized another crocodile had gotten out. So yeah, I just fled the place on Denver's back. We soon found yet another desert temple. I made sure to pick up all the TNT because I would definitely use it in the nether for finding ancient debris. I then came across another oasis and I killed off all the animals and picked up all the dirt. It was time to deal with the crocodiles, so yeah, I carefully shot at him from a distance and then I bred the two remaining crocodiles. I then was full of surprise because I actually found a desert temple that was right next to my house and I just hadn't looted it for some reason. I discovered that I could make some Roadrunner boots out of the feathers, so I of course made some. And yeah, you did run pretty fast and the world around you looked quite strange. As the aggressive crocodiles had laid an egg, I decided to kill them just to be sure I wouldn't just get killed off, and I waited for baby Henry to grow up. By the end of the afternoon, I decided to work a bit more on the house, and I actually started making, all the doors and openings. On day 32, I also found placements for windows, and I actually put shutters out of trapdoors, and I wanted to make the windows nice and small, so I added some stairs. On day 33, I kind of did the same. I would basically get some more sand, smelt it, and then place it once again on the house and, try to get a okay result. One thing I might regret, I say might because not really, but a little bit, is actually the size of the house. I don't know why I made such a large base, because it required so much sand, but I mean, the result you will see was alright. In the evening, I was delighted to see that Henry had grown up, and indeed he was not aggressive towards me. He was just such a sweet crocodile, and it was a pleasure to have him. And to be fair, it felt so weird just swimming next to a crocodile and just staring at his teeth, without dying immediately. I've decided to combine the next few days together because then it would just be too repetitive, because I was simply working on the house. As you see, it's quite improved, I was finished with the first layer. And I also decided to give it a sort of castle-y look, with the roof a bit like that. Well, the roof, I mean, you know what I mean, I hope. And at one point I realized, Tootsie, there is a desert temple full of sandstone right next to your house, so of course I went to destroy the poor desert temple that hadn't asked anything. But yeah, it was a great way to get plenty more sandstone. I also started working on the upper layers. So first of all, I brought up all the walls, and then I made some nice little shaped windows. I wouldn't know how I would describe the shape, but yeah, I used some stairs in the corners, and I thought it gave, a nice look for a desert house. Once the entire house was done, it was time for decorating. So of course I had to use things I had found mainly in villages, such as some sea pickles for glasses, some pots, some plants, etc, etc. I also realized you could make some really elegant pots out of terracotta, and so I went to a neighboring village and once again destroyed the poor houses, but mainly I was there to get as much terracotta and flowers as I could get because, yeah, I would definitely need them for decorating my house. I was also able to craft some lovely little cushion seats that looked really nice on the terrace. I also made sure to have a proper area for doing my smelting and crafting, and I also placed an anvil there. For the upstairs terrace, I decided to make a cute little sandstone table so that I would actually be able to place things such as pots and a lantern. I grew really fond of making all the cute little potted trees. I would basically put a dead bush and then some leaves on top, and it would just look super nice. On day 46, I went to say a quick hello to Henry, and then I hopped onto Denver's back and we were off to yet another adventure. Well, it wasn't actually a super cool adventure, it was just killing roadrunners for feathers because, yeah, arrows were quite hard to get. I kept hoping I would get an oak saplings from the leaves, but yeah, I wasn't very lucky. Until on day 47, finally I got my first oak sapling, and I was so happy because I can now add more oak fences and a bit of, contrasting color in my build. After looting yet another desert temple, I came across this strange little structure. It was just a staircase going down. So I crept down and yeah, basically it was a place where loads of zombies would spawn, so I was out of there in an instant. On day 48, I found this random parasol in the middle of the desert, but yeah, it had some water, so I was happy, and then I made my way back home. The very first thing I did, obviously, was quickly bone meal my oak sapling so that I could get plenty of oak and more saplings, you know? And then I was able to craft a few campfires because I wanted to put a cute little roof right over the terrace. I continued making my cute little potted plants, and then I went to the very top of my house. I wasn't really sure what I would do, and I actually ended up making these kind of little benches. I just wanted to make something simple because I would probably place my enchanting table up there, so I wanted to leave as much space as possible. Speaking of space, I decided to make the animal pen a little bit larger because these poor little animals were a little bit stuck in there. I then added plenty of flowers to decorate, and I also made this kind of little sink so that I would be able to drink water from my house. I then realized you could make something called a water purifier, and it took me ages to figure out what to do with it. I was so confused, but I managed in the end. I continued to bone meal and cut down, bone meal and cut down, plenty of oak trees, and then of course I would be making campfires because I would need so many. I then decided I actually wanted to decorate my bedroom a little more, so I placed just a few fences. So I don't know if you think it looks nice, I just thought it added something to the bed and it was pretty cool. To make the roofed area of the terrace a little bit nicer, I actually incorporated some leaves in it. And then to make sure I would never run out of wood again, I planted loads of saplings in a row, so yeah, I would just have plenty. I then sheared my sheep and was able to make some banners to decorate the bed even more. I gathered some water bottles on me and went back to the Nether. I attempted to mine to level 14 a bunch of times, and each time I would fall right above lava, so that was quite annoying. And then finally I found a proper place and I started placing some TNT, I lit it, and boom, netherite. I've got to say that mining for netherite in that way is really quite fun. I also mined some quartz to get some level and exchanged all the netherite I had with a goblin trader. I actually had no more diamonds left to be able to mine the netherite, so I went back down mining. At one point I arrived in this cave and I was so happy to find a good bunch of diamonds. I continued looking around for more, but didn't find any. On day 63, I restocked on water, and it did take quite a bit of time, you know, in the water purifier, and finally I arrived back down to mine loads of netherite. I once again decided to assemble the next few days because, yeah, what was I doing? Placing TNT, lighting it up, wait for it to boom, and find the netherite. Well, I say netherite, I know it's ancient debris, I'm sorry. And then during the next few days we got a little incident. So basically I got a new computer recently, but one of the parts is a little bit too big. So when there is a shock near the computer, it stops working and I have to turn it off and on, which is super annoying. And Rake was a little bit excited for some reason. He was kind of prancing around the room and then my computer stopped working. So thankfully I had started the recording again recently, so it was alright. On day 73, I did a great deal of wood cutting and I also got plenty of oak leaves because I would be decorating the house with the oak leaves. I then started making a little wall around the place, and then I was actually planning on making an actual farm around the house to give it a nice look. On day 75, I climbed back up to the rooftop because I wanted to finish off the little terrace roof, so I of course added some leaves and some slabs, you know, just to make it look a bit overgrown, as though the leaves had taken over the terrace. And I also added a few more dangling leaves on the middle terrace as well as surrounding the house. It made me quite happy just seeing the house taking shape. After shearing my sheep, I decided to decorate the bottom floor of the house. And I decided what I could make was a sort of little dining area. It almost looked like it was a restaurant for some reason, even though I was completely alone in this world, but never mind. So yeah, I basically had a mini restaurant in the middle of my living room, and I also added another seating area further off. On day 77, Henry and I killed off a few cows because I wanted to make some bookshelves for the enchanting area. On day 78, I made my way once again through the nether, killing off some skeletons, until I found a nether fortress. I started off with the easy part, basically just looting the chests, and I actually found some diamonds, which was super cool, and I also collected some nether warts. When I found the blaze spawners, I actually decided to break one of the spawners because they were so close, and I didn't want to get too many blazes spawning. And then guess what? I ran out of water because yeah, when you run out of water in the nether, there is no way to get more. So I made myself a backpack and I packed it full of purified water. On day 81, Henry helped me once again with the cows, and I was starting to get a good amount of leather, and I also went to get some sugar cane to be able to make some bookshelves. I even decided to make myself a diamond sword because my first enchantment was sharpness 4, which would be perfect for the Ender Dragon fight. And now I needed more levels, so I went back down mining and I accidentally came across these diamonds. I wasn't even looking for diamonds, so that was pretty fun, and I even found an amethyst geode. Luckily, I did find plenty of coal, of course, and even some lapis lazuli. As the mining was really slow to get levels, I hopped back onto Denver's back. On our way to find the zombie spawner, we actually found yet another desert temple. I made my way down to the zombie spawner and my levels went up so fast because there were so many zombies. So thankfully I could go back up to the surface and they would just burn because wow, there were so many spawning. On day 85, I returned home and was able to get protection 4 on my boots. On day 86, I went once again back to the zombie spawner and realized that you could actually go down and there were even more zombie spawners, so yeah, I mean, thankfully I was well protected. But really the worst was when there were like several baby zombies attacking you, but thankfully that didn't happen too much. And when I went back home, I got infinity on my bow and that was really so cool. No need to kill any more roadrunners. On day 88, I made my way back to the Nether Fortress through the Crimson Forest. I started off by killing some blazes in the distance. It was really quite hard because there were some zombie pigmen in the way. I was so scared to hit some, but thankfully I did not. And then I tried to make a roof over the spawner. That was quite tricky. And at one point there were like 3 blazes that spawned. So yeah, that kind of freaked me out. But other than that, I managed to get enough blaze rods. On day 89, I made my way through the wart forest to fight off some endermen for ender pearls. As I had some gold on me, I also decided to go trade with some piglins. I came back out of the nether with 7 ender pearls, which meant I was still missing a few. I was able to make myself some potions of strength, but the issue was I did not have any phantom membranes for making the slow falling potion, so I had to not sleep for 3 nights. During the day, I basically did some decorating. I actually made a really cute enclosure for Denver, and I even placed a little cauldron so that he would have plenty to drink. And during the nights, I would either AFK or go mining. I was finally able to finish off the entire terrace roof, so yeah, the house is pretty much complete. One time, I decided to spend the night mining, and what I did is I basically used some beds, and yeah, it is a little bit more dangerous than TNT because beds explode instantly, but yeah, it was still quite fun, and you know, it was pretty good to have a little bit of adrenaline sometimes. I also made sure to get some glowstone so that basically my potions of strength would be a little bit more efficient. To my surprise, on day 94, the Wandering Trader spawned with some llamas and an elephant, and I was so excited to get the elephant that I killed the Wandering Trader, and that was really silly because I should have traded with him for some saplings, but never mind. Tragedy struck when basically these gusters attacked me, and suddenly Henry disappeared. I never saw him again. I really don't know why. These gusters were so annoying, just throwing me in the air, and that night I was really disappointed. I was looking for Henry everywhere. I was just so confused. In honor of Henry, I named the new elephant Henrietta. On day 95, as I still didn't have enough ender pearls, I went back to the nether and mined some gold and traded with the piglins. On day 96, there was a sandstorm, so of course the gusters spawned, but in the evening I was very happy to see that the phantoms finally spawned. But sadly, out of 4 phantoms, I only got 1 phantom membrane, and as I didn't know how hard the ender dragon fight would be, I still preferred to wait another night to be able to get 6 slow falling potions. And then suddenly, in the bottom left corner, I realized that Henry was still alive and had just been killed by a zombie. And that really left me wondering and confused what had actually happened. Like, why did he disappear and then he just died? That was so confusing. And to add on to that, guess what? The next morning, Henrietta had disappeared. I had no clue what happened to her. I looked all over for her and never found her ever again. Finally, on day 98, I was ready and I set forth to the stronghold. I made sure to place my bed down, you know, not to spawn in a random point. I crept into the mysterious stronghold, fought off some mobs, and finally I found the portal. And of course I didn't have enough blocks. Prepared Tootsie as always. To my greatest disappointment, I realized that there were actually zombies in the end, which was super lovely. And when I was shooting at the crystals, I realized that my render distance wasn't high enough, so yeah. It's just super cool to do the render distance while you're fighting the Ender Dragon. I then moved on to destroying the caged up crystals, and then it was between the two of us. Well, except when an Enderman and a zombie would just come and attack me, but yeah. Finally, the Ender Dragon was killed, but it was the first time I couldn't actually just look at the Ender Dragon peacefully. No, I had to kill off plenty of zombies that were attacking me, so yeah, that was super exciting and relaxing. I therefore did not stay long in the end, and I was delighted to return to my cozy little oasis home in the middle of this dangerous desert. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoy this video, and to be quite honest, it was quite hard to do, at least the voiceover part, because earlier on this week I actually lost my pet rabbit, Snow, that I had actually presented to you guys. And it's been really quite hard because I've had her for more than half my life. So she's always been by my side to comfort me. So truthfully, the voiceover has been quite hard because, you know, you just have to talk in an upbeat voice for hours and just, you know, it's I don't know, it's been quite hard. And all I wanted to do this week, to be honest, is just take a break. Just, I don't know, I've just not been feeling too good. So yeah, I hope it didn't show in the video, but normally it didn't. But yeah. It was not my easiest videos to make, so sorry about that if it was the case, and I guess I will see you in next week's video. Love you!